Hi, Geography of Nebraska. My name is Hannah, and today I'm at Toadstool Geologic Park in the northeastern part of Sioux County in the Panhandle. Just driving up to the area, you can see the 6 different campsites that each have a grill, a covered picnic table, and a parking spot. And just in the distance, you can see the Geologic Park in the background. One thing that's really awesome in this camping area is a little gazebo that has different information boards inside. They're there to teach the visitors about the area that they are going to spend some time in hiking and camping. Toadstool has a few different hiking trails along with the camping sites, and we're going to go on one today. So Toadstool was formed about 34 million years ago due to ashfall from volcanoes in the Great Basin area, Utah and Nevada, kind of blanketed the area, and then through time, erosion, wind erosion and water erosion has created the unique formations that sit here today. And what's really kind of interesting about that process is that they've never looked the way they do now ever before, and they're never going to look exactly like this ever again. There's some signs like this one right here that kind of show points of interest, or it looks like this one is showing the different hiking trails and how long they are. When you look up Toadstool online, you're most likely going to see a photo of either this formation or rock formations that look very similar to this. Obviously this one, and then a couple right next to it, and some more just over there. So these unique formations are actually what gives the park its name, Toadstool, because they kind of look like a toadstool or a mushroom. So on this rock right here, you can see really well the different layers, which are actually layers of sandstone and clay. And the reason why these unique formations were able to kind of be created was because a lot of the clay lays on the bottom, and clay is obviously softer than sandstone, so the clay eroded a lot faster, which kind of made it so that there was a large rock sitting on a smaller column. The recreation information that you can find about Toadstool says that it's really important that you remain on the trail and not venture off, because there are animal tracks still left over from many years ago. But the problem with that is it must have just rained or snowed recently in this area, because the trail is so muddy, and it looks like a lot of the other spots that are off the trail a little bit are muddy as well. On my hike through the park, I came across this area that will have a flowing stream right after a rain or snowstorm, but it's mostly dried up now. It is still pretty muddy and a little wet, but it's obviously not flowing anymore. But I did notice that the way that it dried and the water evaporated, it kind of looks like a braided river. One thing I haven't mentioned yet is that Toadstool Geologic Park sits in the Ogallala National Grassland, and that is very apparent at this point on the hike. One thing that I've learned by coming here is that, well, it's a really awesome place, and I would definitely recommend coming here, but I would recommend coming in the summer because it is very muddy. The hike itself is really not that challenging, but the mud is making it very challenging, trying not to fall or slip or whatnot. So coming in the summer when everything is all dried up would be your best bet. One of the things that I read before coming here was that walking through the park is kind of like walking through history, because there are so many different layers of the rock that you can see that represent different time periods, and kind of looking around, that's really apparent I'll do a panorama in just a minute, but it is really, really interesting to see just kind of how the erosion has kind of hit this area through different times. As I was saying, you can see right there's different layers that you can see, and out in the distance you can kind of see the different layers. And then back over this way, you may not be able to tell because of the sun, but it is really just amazing to see different periods of history. So about 90 million years ago, this whole area Nebraska was underwater until the Rocky Mountains and Black Hills uplifted, and that caused all the water to drain and caused this area to kind of become what looks like an African savanna with a lot of wildlife roaming around, which I think is really interesting, and I'm sure in the summertime it does. But right now when I'm here in March, it is very wet everywhere. There's a lot of water on the ground. As I've mentioned, it's very muddy. I'm thinking it looks kind of like when Nebraska was underwater, but I can definitely see, how there was what looked like an African savanna here with wildlife roaming around and different plants and animals from that time period. So a lot of people like to go horseback riding in this area. There's a lot of open grassland, and it's one of the attractions of this place. And while I haven't actually seen anybody on a horse, I have noticed a lot of horse droppings around the area. So I think that's really interesting that this place is just so diverse in kind of what you can do here. I saw this little rock creation on my way back, and I don't know if it's necessarily natural or not, but I thought it was really interesting. Kind of fits in with a lot of the other rock formations here. So I did decide to cut my hike a little bit short just because it is very windy. I'm sure you've heard some pretty poor audio, and it's just so muddy. But the further along I got, the more kind of unbearable it became. It was very challenging to continue, so I decided to just call it quits while I was ahead, which is a huge bummer. And I think that I'll definitely have to come back here in the summer once it's all dried up, a little bit warmer too. Actually, the main reason why I chose to do this project on Toadstool Geologic Park is because I grew up in Colorado, so I went hiking in the Rockies quite a bit, and I really enjoyed it. So I wanted to kind of get a similar experience here in Nebraska. And while it has been a little bit challenging with the mud and the wind, it has been so incredible. This place is really awesome, and like I said earlier, I would definitely recommend coming. It is kind of a long drive from Lincoln, but I think it's definitely worth it. So I'm heading out of the area now, but one thing I did want to mention before I forget is I've actually seen a lot of western meadowlarks flying around in this area, which is really kind of cool to see what you've learned in the class in the real life. So, similar to the last clip, I'm just driving out of the area back on paved road, just a little bit outside of Crawford, and I saw a bunch of white-tailed deer running around, and I thought that was really neat, especially after just noticing all of the western meadowlark